Hi, I'm Emily Parker, and this is the story of how my perfect sister's dream wedding turned into a nightmare. Not because I wanted revenge, but because sometimes the truth refuses to stay buried. I was adopted by the Parkers when I was 6 months old. My parents, especially my dad, James Parker, always made sure I never felt different from my biological sister Kate, who was born 2 years after they adopted me. At least that's what I thought for 28 years. Dad's company, Parker Innovation Labs, was his pride and joy, a small research and development firm that created custom solutions for manufacturing companies. I grew up watching him pour his heart into it, spending late nights in his home office reviewing projects and proposals. While Kate excelled in dance recitals and beauty pageants, I inherited Dad's passion for innovation. I spent my summers interning at the company, learning every aspect of the business. After getting my engineering degree, I joined full-time as a project manager. That was 8 years ago. Since then, I'd worked my way up to Chief Innovation Officer, helping transform our small family business into an industry leader worth over $100 million. Kate, meanwhile, had become a successful social media influencer, posting about luxury lifestyle and relationship advice. The problem started when Kate got engaged to Thomas Bradford IEI, heir to Bradford Technologies, one of our biggest competitors. This merger of families will be perfect for business, Mom gushed during Kate's engagement party at our family estate. The champagne was flowing, and everyone who was anyone in the tech industry had been invited. I should have seen the signs earlier, the whispered conversations that stopped when I entered rooms, the strange looks from board members, the way Dad had been avoiding one-on-one meetings with me for weeks. Kate clanked her crystal champagne flute, gathering everyone's attention. She stood on the mansion's grand staircase, her designer dress sparkling under the chandelier lights. Thomas stood beside her, looking every bit the proud future CEO he was being groomed to be. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate our engagement," Kate beamed. "But there's something else we need to address tonight." My stomach dropped as her eyes found me in the crowd. "Emily, dear sister," her voice dripped with false concern. "We need to talk about the money." The room fell silent. I clutched my glass tighter. "What money?" "The $2 million that's missing from the company accounts." She paused for dramatic effect. "The money you've been embezzling for the past year." The accusation hit me like a physical blow. Whispers erupted around the room. I looked to Dad for support, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. "What are you talking about?" I managed to say. "I would never." "We have proof," Thomas interrupted, pulling out a folder. Financial records showing systematic theft through a series of cleverly hidden transactions, all traced back to your personal accounts. I felt the room spinning. "Dad, you know I would never steal from the company. Everything I've done has been for." "Save it," Kate snapped. "You're just the adopted one, trying to steal what rightfully belongs to the real Parker family. It's time to pay it all back." The silence that followed her words was deafening. I waited for Dad to defend me, to say something, anything. Instead, he slowly nodded. "The evidence is quite clear, Emily," he said quietly. "I think it would be best if you resigned immediately. We won't press charges if you return the money." In that moment, everything I thought I knew about my family shattered. 28 years of love and belonging crumbled under the weight of one accusation. I set my glass down carefully on a nearby table. "You want me to resign? Fine, I quit. But you should check those financial records more carefully before you make accusations." I walked out of the party with my head held high, ignoring the whispers and stares. As I reached my car, I heard Kate's voice ring out from the doorway. "Don't forget to return your company laptop and phone. We wouldn't want you deleting any evidence." I smiled despite the tears threatening to fall. My sister had always been so focused on appearances that she never bothered to learn how the company actually worked. She had no idea that for the past 3 years, I'd been documenting everything. That night, as I sat in my home office, I began implementing the contingency plan I created but hoped never to use. Years of watching other family businesses implode had taught me to always be prepared for betrayal. I pulled out my personal laptop and accessed a secure server that Kate and Thomas didn't know existed. Every email, every transaction, every piece of evidence showing who had really been stealing from the company. It was all there, waiting to be revealed. Kate's wedding was in a week. She planned an extravagant ceremony at the city's most exclusive venue. with over 500 guests, including every major player in the tech industry. She'd spent months ensuring it would be the social event of the year. Little did she know, I had my own plans for her special day. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone's future. It's about revealing the truth about their past. As I prepared for bed that night, my phone buzzed with a text from Kate. "Don't even think about coming to the wedding. Security has your photo." I replied with a simple smiley face emoji. She had no idea that I didn't need an invitation to crash her perfect day. After all, I designed the venue's security system myself. The next 7 days would change everything. But first, I had some calls to make. The morning of Kate's wedding dawned bright and clear. While she was probably getting her hair and makeup done at the Peninsula Hotel's presidential suite, I was in my home office making final preparations. The last week had been busy. I'd reached out to key industry contacts, set up meetings with the SEC, and gathered irrefutable evidence of what had really been happening at Parker Innovation Labs. But my most important call had been to someone Kate had completely forgotten about: our company's original programmer, old Joe. Joe had worked for Dad since the beginning, creating our core software systems. Kate and Thomas thought he retired 6 months ago. They didn't know he still maintained backdoor access to all company servers at my request. "Got everything?" I texted Joe at 9 a.m., all downloaded and verified. He replied, "They never changed the master passwords. Amateurs." I smiled, thinking of Kate's face when she realized her clever financial tricks weren't so clever after all. The money she accused me of stealing, every penny could be traced back to offshore accounts belonging to her fiance's family. At precisely 2 p.m., I parked my car 2 blocks from the St. Regis Hotel. The wedding was scheduled for 4 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom. Security was tight. Kate had made sure of that. But she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I'd installed the hotel's entire security infrastructure 3 years ago through Parker Innovation Labs. I walked through the service entrance, nodding to the kitchen staff who recognized me from the system installation. My fingerprints still worked on the biometric locks, another oversight. I made my way to the control room, where my old friend Marcus was working security. "Emily?" He looked surprised. "They said you were banned." I handed him a USB drive. "Marcus, remember when I saved your job last year after that breach? I need a favor." 20 minutes later, I was settled in the ballroom's upper control booth. Below, guests were arriving, the who's who of the tech industry, all dressed in their finest. Mom was greeting people, wearing an expensive new dress. Dad stood with Thomas's parents, probably discussing the merger they'd announced yesterday. The merger that would save Bradford Technologies from bankruptcy, using Parker Innovation Labs' money. My money. The money Kate accused me of stealing. At 3:55 p.m., Kate made her entrance for photos. She looked stunning in her designer gown, beaming as cameras flashed. Thomas waited at the altar, looking every bit the proud groom. I waited until the ceremony began, until the minister asked if anyone had any objections. That's when I activated Joe's program. The ballroom's lights dimmed. The massive screens meant for wedding photos came to life. And there, in high definition, began playing a presentation I titled "The Truth About the Parker Family Fortune." Financial records, emails, secret meetings, every corrupt dealing, every stolen dollar, every lie, displayed for all to see. Kate's face went from confusion to horror as she watched proof of her fiance's embezzlement scheme unfold on screen. "Turn it off," Thomas shouted, but the hotel's systems weren't responding to anyone but me. Then came the recording, a conversation between Kate and Thomas from 3 months ago. "Once we frame Emily for the missing money, Dad will have to give me control of the company." Kate's voice filled the ballroom. "The adopted brat never deserved it anyway. And once we merge the companies," Thomas replied, "we can sell off Parker's assets to cover Bradford's debts. Your father will never know what hit him." The screen switched to security footage of them doctoring financial records in Thomas's office, carefully cracking the trail that would lead to me. The ballroom erupted in chaos. I emerged from the control booth, walking calmly down the main aisle. Kate stood frozen in her white dress, mascara running down her cheeks. "Security," she screamed when she saw me. "They work for me," I said quietly, "or rather, they work for Parker Innovation Labs' security division, which I built from the ground up." Dad stepped forward, his face ashen. "Emily, Save it," I cut him off. "Check your email. You'll find copies of everything you just saw, plus documentation of every innovation and client relationship I brought to the company. My resignation terms are attached. You have 1 hour to accept them." "You're bluffing," Thomas snarled. "You've got nothing." I smiled. "The SEC disagrees. They're very interested in Bradford Technologies' creative accounting, as are your shareholders." I nodded towards several pale-faced board members in the crowd. "Oh, and Kate, you were right about one thing. I'm not a real Parker. I'm better. I built that company into what it is today, while you were busy taking selfies and plotting theft." Mom tried to approach me, but I held up my hand. "My terms are simple. I take 51% ownership of Parker Innovation Labs, effective immediately. Kate and Thomas are banned from any involvement in the company. And Dad, you can keep your position as figurehead CEO, but your voting rights go to me. And if we refuse?" Kate's voice shook. "Then I release everything to the media. Parker Innovation Labs might survive the scandal. Bradford Technologies won't." I turned to the shocked guests. "I suggest you all go home. I don't think there's going to be a wedding today." The next few hours were a blur of lawyers, documents, and tears. By midnight, I owned controlling interest in the company I'd helped build. Bradford Technologies stock was in freefall, and Kate's perfect wedding had become the scandal of the year. 1 week later, I sat in my new office, formerly Dad's, reviewing acquisition proposals for what remained of Bradford Technologies. A knock at the door interrupted my work. It was Dad, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "I should have believed in you," he said quietly. "Yes, you should have. Can we ever fix this?" I thought about it. Maybe. Not as father and daughter, you lost that right at the engagement party. But as business partners, we'll see. You taught me my first lesson about innovation. Sometimes you have to tear something down completely before you can build it back better. He nodded sadly and left. I turned back to my window, looking out at the city skyline. My phone buzzed. A text from Kate. "I'm sorry. I was wrong about everything." I didn't reply. Some apologies come too late. They say success is the best revenge, but I disagree. The best revenge is forcing people to face their own lies. Kate wanted a wedding that everyone would remember. Well, she got her wish, just not in the way she planned. As for me, I'm still the same person who loves innovation and building things. The only difference is now everyone knows what I'm capable of, and no one will ever call me just the adopted one again.